here in just a couple of minutes, so just come on in and tune on in.
Hi, how are you? Good seeing you again. Yeah, I have to look up to. Another great guy. Sounds fun.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Learning things and
Am I waiting on that?
Most Black Mountain was on that call. But once we were done doing the introductions, and the guys started.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I used to see a standard that's down there. There's no one.
Yeah, that's very good. It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. I don't see it. Let's have it.
I could make it.
But I know some are very successful.
Solve my problem.
Okay. Hey, just a quick question, everybody. Can you hear me okay when I'm talking like this? I don't need to use the microphone, right? Okay, good. So we'll let quiet Alex go first.
Me? Yeah. All right, let's look at this thing about 11, like that, it was represented. If not, that's okay, I can do it out too. I need to. Hello? All right, good evening, everybody. I told you I don't need a microphone. How's everyone doing today? Oh, come on, you better have more energy than that. How y'all doing today? Okay, all right, awesome. Hey, professional development, thank you. Thank you. One of the things I always say about professional development, so I'm not yelling at y'all, is you get to show up for yourself. Like, I always feel like there's the right amount of people in the room, and the right people are in the room because they're the people who are investing in themselves, right? Not everybody wants to do that. So if you're here today, we're gonna start off with you giving a round of applause to yourself for showing up, because there's a lot of excuses out there, okay? So I have the honor of presenting a really good friend of mine, Mr. Joe Novara. Now, mind you, I've met this guy 2 months, not even 2 months ago, almost, November of 2021, right? Because we're all on this cruise ship with no excursions. So I met him November of 2021, and I went to his Total Business Breakthrough, which was actually it's coming up, but it was in Hendersonville. And this guy gave me some great insights. And at that Total Business Breakthrough, I learned that he's not only a speaker, but he's an author, and he does a lot of other great business coaching things, and he's just phenomenal. And I was so inspired that I went to go see him. I actually drove from here to Cary, North Carolina, which is where he lives, for his other Total Business Breakthrough in Greensboro. So went there, drove back in a day. Now, I'm insane when it comes to my business activity, but every time I've gone, I've always learned something, and I've always met great people, right? Because one of the things that will tell you if you're a great person is if you have great people around you, right? If you have people that praise you, you already know you're doing a good thing, and if people who don't want to be around you, you look in the mirror, right? Okay? So with that being said, I'm really excited for him to give you some insight, some of the things that I've been able to use, not only personally, but also in my business. And he actually has another seminar this Friday, which I'm sponsoring. That's how crazy this relationship has gotten. Yeah, as I'm doing it. So it's going to be great. So without further ado, I'm going to present to him. He's here. And also, folks, I'm going to let you know that there is food here for y'all. Okay, I know it says Subway, but that's actually from a local Subway owner who's actually born and raised here in Asheville, North Carolina. She bought the actual franchise, and she's a PCI recipient from the Asheville Chamber of Commerce, Miss Renita Waters. So it's not just any type of Subway. Someone's like, do you know Jared? I'm like, no, but I know somebody else. So please help yourselves to some food and some drinks and everything as you learn. And without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and present him so he can get started. Mr. Joe Novara, come on down to the stage. Come on.
So the Italian in me now sees food and says I have to serve everybody. So that's why I'm getting the plates ready for you. So just come on up and grab food. Listen, this is going to be, it's a casual conversation. I want you guys involved in this conversation. I don't want to just be talking to you. I want us to be talking together. Because what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what could potentially, for some of you, be pretty deep stuff. Okay? What if we want to move our businesses forward, if we want to excel in our personal lives, we have to be willing to take a look at some of the deeper issues that keep us from being as successful as we want to be. Everybody, it doesn't matter how successful somebody is, if they want to be more successful, they have to take a deeper dive, which is not always easy for everybody. Okay? Just to give you a little background on me, I was in the printing industry for almost 30 years. For several years, I took a break, kind of a break, because I was still doing graphic design, but I was in the real estate, selling real estate in downtown Brooklyn, New York, Anybody here from New York at all? Okay, I usually have at least one person that's a New Yorker. So what I always say to some people is if you're in sales and you really want to work on your sales muscles, go sell real estate in downtown Brooklyn for a little while, and you'll come back a whole different person, I promise you. It is not nice. So, I'm sorry, Brooklyn, if you're watching. But, so that being said, what I did was, like I said, I was in the real printing industry for a very long time. It was a wonderful industry for me for probably, let's say, the first 20 years of my career. And then as things got a little weird, especially around the recession of 08, I owned a printing company here over in Chapel Hill, and things got weird, and I just realized it was time for me to get out. So after 5 years of kind of like, I felt I owned Chapel Hill Printing, I felt like the water was always going like this, you know. And when in that last year, I was trying to figure out, I say, like as like a fresh college graduate, what it was I was going to do when I got out of school, which was really not the printing industry. And I was sitting in the audience, like you all are, watching a speaker on sales, a gentleman named Bill Davis. And while I was sitting there, I was saying to myself, I could do what he's doing. He's not doing anything I can't do. So I went home, started doing some research on what it would take to be a professional speaker, and started writing my script that night on referral marketing and networking. And on July 1st of 2013, I closed the doors to my printing company forever. July 3rd of 2013, I did my first live speaking engagement. And I haven't stopped since. I've added 2 coaching programs, I've written 3 books, I've spoken to thousands of people, and I love it. And I don't care if I'm speaking to 12 or 13 people, or if I'm speaking to 400 people, it's still, I get excited by it. And that's the thing, is I get excited by being able to help people. Because here's the funny part, which all of my friends that I grew up with still can't believe that I'm standing here in front of you all right now, because I am a shy introvert. I am a shy introvert, but I get off on this. This is my excitement. This is my, like, I feel so passionate about this, okay? But I have to work at it on a regular basis. So when I first started, I was just training people based on my knowledge, okay? And I had a lot of knowledge in sales, in customer service, in operations, in marketing, and you name it, I had experience in it around business. The one area that I will always be super honest about that was the greatest deficit for me was finances. That's where that was my struggle in business ownership. So that's where you should always know what your weaknesses are. Focus on your strength, outsource your weaknesses. So that being said, when I started doing this, I had this one coaching program. And when we did that, we were just focusing, it was a 4-week program that just focused on networking, okay? And what I found was that a lot of the people that I was working with wanted more. So that's when I started getting more training. I started going out and getting training from, who knows Tony Robbins? Anybody here know who Tony? All right, so I started getting training by the Tony Robbins Corporation. It's called Robbins Madonna's Training. And so I went through some of their training and became what's called a strategic intervention coach. Eventually, I went and got more training and became certified in 6 human needs. And so that is, for me, what I feel is one of the strongest points to my coaching program called Growth Academy is the 6 human needs. Now, I'm just going to work on that with you all here right now to do just kind of a dive into what that looks like for yourselves so that you can use that in your life and you can start looking for it in others, in the other people that you're engaging with. So when you're meeting somebody and they're acting a specific way, you're going to say, he's looking for significance, okay? You'll start picking up on that, and it helps you to be able to engage with people and understand them better than you would before. Now, I'll tell you real quickly, when Tony Robbins and Chloe Madonis, who is his partner, one of his partners, when they developed the 6 human needs, they took it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, and that's what they broke it down from that, and they made, they simplified it. Okay, the first need, well, these are all the needs. Certainty, and so what we'll do is I want you to, as we're going along, don't write them all down right now, but I want you to later, as I'm going through each one, just write them down on your paperwork there. So it's certainty, uncertainty, variety, they're the same. Significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. So what we'll do is, as we're going along and I go through each one, I just want you to write it in there, and then what we're going to do is we'll go back later and we'll do vehicles. The vehicles are how we achieve these specific needs in our lives, okay? So the first need is the need for certainty. Okay, now what that means is we are all looking for some level of certainty in our lives. Security, okay, whether it's a roof over your head, right? That feels good. If it's having enough money in your bank account, how about knowing that somebody's not going to walk up to you and just hit you? Okay, we like that level of certainty in our lives. Okay, some people, they achieve certainty through having just one room and getting welfare. Okay, they feel good about, they feel certain knowing that. Other people will feel certain if they're making $1 million a year. If they aren't hitting that 7-figure mark, they don't feel certain. It creates anxiety for them. Okay, so it's up to everybody. Everybody has to have a certain level of certainty in their lives, but how they experience it is different for every single person. Okay, does anybody here, is there something that you can identify with for yourself that you would say, this is an area where I definitely experience certainty for myself? Yeah, go ahead.
I have always felt strongly about earning my own income, so I don't have to rely on someone else.
Oh yeah, that's definitely, yeah, so you're not, you're very independent. Yeah. So for me, certainty, that's a great point. So I do not like asking somebody for a ride. If my car is broken down, I get really freaked out. And even though I have a wife, I don't want to ask her. So for me, that's a level of certainty. It's low on the chart for me, but it's still, that's where for me, it's just something that triggers me. Anybody else, something that you can identify for yourselves, what triggers, where your need for certainty is met?
On the same page with the spouse.
Okay, so this way it keeps nice smooth waters at home, right? Yeah, that's great, that's great. Okay, well, let's move on. So the next need is the need for uncertainty or variety, okay? And everybody needs some level of excitement in their lives just to feel alive. We all need to feel that. The thing is that some people will get their uncertainty or their variety met through watching the news, okay? Some people get their uncertainty met through extreme sports. Now, for me, again, as a more introverted, shy person, this is a level of uncertainty for me. I'm always thinking ahead of time, how are they going to react? How are they going to respond? Are they going to like it? Are people going to like me? What if they don't like me? What if they reject me? What if they, for me, this is uncertainty. Now, there's also, though, the thing about uncertainty is that it can be a lot of fun, too, okay? Doing things that when we're trying to live in that world of certainty all the time, it can actually get pretty boring. Can everybody agree with that? So we need to have some level of uncertainty in our lives. Who can share with me one thing that you do to have some variety or uncertainty in your life? Say that again?
Snowboarding.
Snowboarding, awesome. All right, very cool. Okay.
Restaurants.
Try different restaurants. All right, that's great. Travel, yes, absolutely. So that's really good. Yeah. And you'll see later on where that's going to come in somewhere else, though. Okay, it's going to come into one of the other needs in a minute. One more? Anybody else? Okay, that's great. Significance. And significance is where we all want to feel important to some level. Okay? A lot of us may say, well, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Liar. Everybody cares to some, we all want to feel important to some degree. Okay? We may not want to feel as super important as as like a politician will. Okay? But at some level, we want to feel important. We want to feel admired. We want to feel needed. Okay? And again, it just depends on the person. Now, some people get their significance through helping others, helping the community, by giving to others, planting trees, whatever. However, some people get their significance, again, through only feeling like if I'm not wealthy, then I'm not important. Okay, so they have this grand vision of what significance and importance is. However, there's also that person that we all know who they've always got, everything's got to be the worst for them. They get their significance from negativity. Oh, nothing ever works for me. Oh, I'm just the worst. Nothing, everything is wrong. Does everybody know that guy or girl? Yeah. So that's how they get their significance, is through that. Let me just sheet here. And I don't know if I oh, there. But so that's how other people get their level of significance. Again, just like the other needs, everybody has to wants to feel significant to some degree. It's just, again, it's a matter of how much. Here you go. Here's one of these sheets for you. Oh, you're getting food. Okay. I'll keep the sheet. Okay. So our next need is the need for love or connection. Okay. Now, from a business perspective, we're going to talk more connection, but everybody has that need to feel loved or connected to others. Now, when we think about a baby has to be touched, has to be nurtured, has to be loved in order for it to grow normally. Now, that's basically how a lot of humans are. Okay, adults, let me say humans. How adults are. We need to feel that we're connected with others in order for us to feel like we're having some kind of a good connection in life with people. Now, what happens a lot of times, though, in regard to connection, is that there are a lot of people that they never experience love in their lives. But they do have connection. They still get that feeling of connection in their communities. At work, can anybody identify with that you have good connection at work? Okay, and there are some countries or cultures where the word romantic love doesn't even exist. For them, it's strictly they are just living life. That whole concept of romantic love is not something that they understand. So a lot of times people look at Westerners from other cultures and laugh at us because they feel that we're way too emotional. Okay, but who can share with me any kind of areas that you get connection? And I'll tell you right now, for me, this is an area where I get connection. Okay, this is a strong area for me to get connection with people. Another area is that I do have a lot of very good friendships, very deep friendships, and I get connection there. I also get love from those relationships. Okay, anybody want to share somewhere, a place where, and it's okay if you want to share over and over, I don't care. Where do you get connection in your life?
I think for me, it's like connecting other people to what they need most. So sometimes I'm at a business meeting, I may not close the deal, but that's the least important part of it. It's like, if I know I have somebody in my Rolodex that I can connect that person to, and who knows what door that opens up for them, I'm going to make that connection regardless of whether that person buys from me or not. And so
while that, yes, definitely is connection, what's interesting is you'll see the sixth need is contribution, and we'll talk about that because you also probably have a strong need for contributing to others. Okay, and so that's something that we'll get into that in a minute. But anybody else, where do you feel connection with others? Family, okay, that's a great place. Now, what about at work? Do you feel connection with folks at work? Okay, good.
And YPA?
Yeah, what'd you say? YPA, nice, that was a good answer. Yeah,
I've had just having conversations with, like, particularly playing games, you can learn a lot of people's personalities, you know, especially that kind of stuff.
yeah, I'm sure that's where you develop connection with them that way. The fifth need is the need for growth. So who can tell me, if you're not growing, you're what? You're dying. You've heard it before. But you are. If you're not growing, you're dying. We have to constantly be trying to grow. If we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. And that's really all there is to it. Has anybody ever seen that person, like, where you, in your life, where they're really like moving forward, and then it's like, well, I just don't want to go for any further. I'm done. And then you start to see, like, slowly that whether it's they stop working out and they start going backwards a little, and it's like, wow, you don't look so good anymore. Or they're all of a sudden their health is starting to decline, or they're not, their work stuff, they don't feel as excited about their work because they're not doing any professional or personal development or anything like that. That's why we have to always be working on developing our growth. Now, there are different ways that we can develop our growth. For some people, it comes through working out. Okay? For other people, it could come from taking professional development courses or personal development. There's no shortage of personal and professional development programs and gurus out there. There is no shortage of them. So nobody should have an excuse and say, well, none of them are right for me, because there are a billion of them out there that you can find. Just go on YouTube and put, personal development for people who like to eat crab cakes, and I'm willing to you'll find somebody that likes to teach and likes crab cakes. I mean, it's just, there's so many weird stuff out there. So, but that being said, then there's some people that they only get their growth through reading, constantly reading. It depends on who you are, okay, as an individual. For me, places I get my growth, I go to the gym almost 6 days a week, although I'm nursing a really bad injury in my right leg right now, so if I limp, it's because I overdid it. That's number one. Number two, I do a lot of professional development. I'm constantly in some kind of a program. So right now I'm in a program called Life and Air. It's with a group, it's nationwide, and it's a lot of it's about real estate investing, but it's business coaching as well from a very high level. And and it's the most expensive program I've ever invested in my life. But that being said, it's because I'm trying to move my life and my business to the next level. And if I'm going to do that, I realize if I want to grow, continue to grow, I was going to have to make that investment. The investment isn't always financial. That's the big thing, that you have to also be willing to invest your time. Okay? Sitting in front of the TV, watching reruns of Friends every night, you're not going to get much growth doing that. Okay? And believe me, my wife and I, we find some old show that we always like to go to bed. Before we go to bed, we like to watch some old show on one of the channels. And we'll watch 1 or 2 episodes, and that's all the TV we watch. So we watch between 25 and 40 minutes of TV every night before we go to bed. The rest of the time, during the workday, we're either working or we're doing some kind of development on ourselves and on our businesses. Okay? This is what we were talking about before. I want to just go back real quickly. So that's what I was talking about for you. For travel, by doing all the traveling that you're doing, you're also growing. That's totally a level of growth, okay? Okay, contribution. So we all have a need to contribute to others. The problem is that not everybody works at meeting that need, okay? A lot of people, they say, I'm too busy. I don't have enough money. I don't know how to give. I don't know what people need. Well, ask them, right? The best way to find, I remember when I used to watch Sesame Street with my daughters, and they had a Journey to Ernie. Anybody remember Journey to Ernie? Yeah, good, you're all a little older than that. But they had Journey to Ernie, and because Big Bird was trying to find Ernie, and he would always say at some point during the episode, a good way of finding things out is asking questions. And so you want to find something out, you want to find out how you can help somebody, ask a question. God forbid we should ask questions, right? So always ask, how can I help you? Then with contribution, see right up there, Alex, it says connect. So we can connect others, help people to get what they need. Again, contribution can be whether you're contributing to organizations that are important to you. You can volunteer. I'm guessing you can volunteer here to some degree, right? Okay, that's a great way of contributing. Okay, contribute to somebody. If there's a home, I'm sure there are homeless shelters here somewhere. So there are so many ways to contribute that we should never, ever say, I don't know how to do it. Find something that feels right to you and contribute. It's one of the highest levels of spirituality you can give to yourself, regardless of what you believe. That is a level of spirituality that will tap into your soul and help you to move other places if you focus on contribution. You have to contribute to feel happy. If you are not contributing, you're sucking happiness out of your life. It's just a fact. You see, I feel very passionate about that. So, our 6 needs, again, real quickly, were certainty, uncertainty and variety, significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. Okay, so before I move on real quickly, does anybody have any thoughts about any of those real quickly before we move on to the next part of that? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious if you have any thoughts on if people can take some of these needs to the extreme, and if they can turn into a negative, right?
Absolutely, you can turn everything into a negative. That's a fantastic question, and we're going to talk about that with the vehicles in a second, so thank you. So real quick, before I answer that, I'm going to answer that in a couple minutes. It's Ryan? Yep. All right, okay. So now, what happens though, is sometimes our needs, if we have the two, we like to focus on, identifying what your 2 top needs are, okay? So like my 2 top needs are connection and growth. Okay, those are my 2 top needs. And when I say my 2 top, those are the ones that I identify with the most. I also took a test, the 6 human needs test, and that's what came out. But I would have known that anyway, that those are my 2 top needs. I do have a strong need for contribution as well, but the connection and growth are my 2 tops. So what happens with some people though, is there's a conflict for them with their 2 top needs. So if your 2 top needs are certainty and uncertainty, you're always going to be having some kind of a conflict as to which one is more important. If your 2 top needs are connection and significance, you're always going to experience some kind of a conflict, because it's difficult to feel connected to somebody who always has to also feel very important. Okay, so when you're dealing, if that is where you're at, you want to take a look at that and again do that deep dive and find out either why do I feel I need to be connected with people, or why do I feel I need to be so important all the time. I'd be more suggesting that you focus on that than why you need to be connected with people, unless you're doing it in a way that is where it's unhealthy, like Ryan was asking me before. Okay, so of the 6 human needs, okay, certainty, variety, significance, and connection, those are the fundamental needs of the personality. And so we all have to experience them on some level, okay? And we all have to, and we all do experience those on some level in our lives every single day. However, the needs of the spirit are growth and contribution, and not everybody meets those 2 needs, unfortunately. Okay, some people, again, we were talking before, they just don't know how to. They're afraid to. Nobody's ever given them permission, so they don't think that they are allowed to. Have we ever met that person? And, you know, like you kind of realize when you're talking to this person, like you're suggesting, hey, why don't you take this class, or why don't you do this? And they have this kind of, this feeling, they give you this feeling like they don't deserve it. Because, and that's somebody that's afraid to grow. Okay, so that's where we want to make sure, and generally those are unhappy people as well. So make sure that you're always, that of those 6 needs, regardless what your 2 top are, make sure that these 2 are where you really want to make sure that you're working on those always in your life. Okay, so this goes to where we were going to talk about what Ryan's question was, vehicles for satisfying your needs. A vehicle for satisfying my need for connection, again, is speaking in front of all of you, okay? Another vehicle for connection, for connecting with myself, this is going to sound strange, is overeating sweets. Because when I'm trying to get out of feeling bad about something, or trying, like if I'm feeling stressed about finances, if I'm feeling annoyed with my daughters, one is 18, the other is 20, they can be annoying, okay? So when I'm trying to escape my feelings, a place for me to go to is where I overeat sweets, primarily ice cream, but I do like a good piece of cake too. And all that being said is what I'm doing now is I'm trying to connect with myself through a negative vehicle of sweets. Now, some people will try to do that through other negative things. We all can think of many negative things. It could be through sex, it could be through spending, it could be through, you know, just whatever, anything negative. There are other ways of vehicles for us to meet that need of connection, okay? Now, some people might meet their need for growth through stealing money, okay? So that's a negative way. Or they can meet their need for growth by doing something like this, going to listen to other speakers and doing professional development, personal development. So that's what we want to do. So right now, share with me from what we've watched or what you've watched here, tell me what you think, what you think your 2 top needs are that you would say you identify with the most. Let's start with that. Just shout it out.
Growth and contribution.
Growth and contribution, okay.
Mine was certainty and contribution.
Certainty and contribution, okay, that's great.
Growth and connection.
Growth and connection, okay. Kindred spirits. Anybody else?
Certainty.
Ooh, you must have a lot of pain, huh?
I think I'm a certainty and uncertainty.
Okay, so you feel that conflict.
I hate giving up control, and I'm getting better at it, but I also like my job. I plant a bunch of seeds in business banking, and you never know like when something's gonna pop up. So I go to work and I'm like, what could happen today? And I feel like I enjoy that. In every other aspect of life, I know like what's happening in my schedule.
Right.
So
regarding those seeds, what kind of seeds are you planting?
So for instance, I started my banking, my first year, they were like, you don't have sales goal, you have to talk to people, meet people, build relationships, and at some point, you'll end up selling bank products. But
Right.
so I'm just talking to people, and you never know like who that person talks to, and that person talks to, and sometimes I'll get a call, and I'm like, hey, I got your name from blah, 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 and I'm like, I don't know how this happens, but that's fun. You know,
Right.
I like going in and not knowing what I'm gonna get. I started out in tax, and doing the same thing every day was working.
So, and then when somebody gives your name out to somebody you like, that means you need the connection. Yeah. So it's also a little bit uncertainty, but at the same time, it's getting your need for connection there. So the question, and so this will come into the vehicles, okay? Where if you want to allow that kind of free flowing, you know, being a little more uncertain as far as, you know, you're working, you're doing your job, you're focused on growth. However, where could you meet your need for certainty without it impacting how you feel about work. Okay, sometimes what we need to do is we need to find other vehicles. So that's what I want to ask you to do. Does everybody know what you think probably your two highest needs would be? Okay, so what I want to ask everybody to do right now, just if we could take about 3 minutes, okay, if we could about 3 or 4 minutes, and just write out what you think your the two or three vehicles for each of your top needs to meet those. Now, here's the thing, though. It doesn't necessarily have to be positive. It can be what is something negative that you do to do that as well. For me, growth, and this, again, growth. You see, I was 7 years ago, before I got divorced, I was almost 200 pounds. And I was really out of shape, and I felt terrible about myself. So I started going to the gym. Of course, I waited until I got divorced to do that. But I started going to the gym regularly, and to the point where I go to the gym, like I said earlier, 6 days a week. To the point where I injured myself about 1.5 years ago on my leg, but I didn't want to stop. So that was the negative for me for growth, to the point now that it's freaking killing me. And I can't run. And I have to go see somebody and get help here. I have to stop being an idiot, okay? So that is, for me, that's my negative for growth, was the gym, because I'm afraid to go backwards. So, and I'm just being totally transparent with you all. And that's one thing you'll find about me, is sometimes I'm too transparent. Well, not too transparent. There's no TMI going on here. But go ahead, guys. I know I keep talking, and I'm sorry, we don't have a sheet for you. You shalom, Joe. How you doing? Joe. It's okay. You're right here. Just remember, there's chips over here, there's drinks, don't be afraid to come eat. After you do your homework. We'll do one more minute, everybody. That is an area that I have to have absolute certainty in, is what I'm eating. I cannot eat food that, especially if it's a white cream. If I don't know what that white cream is, there's no way I'm eating it. I am a chef's worst nightmare. Oh. All right. So who'd like to share, a couple of things that you wrote down? You had to know that was coming. Go ahead.
A few things that make me feel significant are my job and my pet, because she needs me.
She absolutely needs you, that's right. Isn't that funny? Yeah. My current wife, who she's wonderful human being, Alex, is matter. So she never had a pet in her life. I had a cat, and she said she was never a cat person, and she can't imagine her life now without a cat, you know, so, yeah, I get that. So what, in work, what makes you feel significant at work?
As much as I hate to admit it, I really thrive off of positive feedback, and so I look for feedback. Well, I also can work with criticism as well, but getting feedback, being progressed in a timely manner, like promotions, those kind of tangible results that reaffirm that I'm doing a good job every day, and the people that are underneath me that look to me. Their success, I feel like, makes me feel, I feel some accomplishment from their accomplishments. It sounds weird to say out loud.
And that's great. So here's a question. What would happen if you didn't get that, that feedback? Would you be able to give it to yourself?
It's something I work on. I feel like, I feel a little lost without feedback.
Right.
Like, I feel like there's always people I can learn from, and if I'm just floating along my life, I'm not gonna grow.
Right.
Without both constructive and positive feedback.
And that goes to what I said before, to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's great. And it is important for us to get positive feedback, and sometimes like I need positive feedback, and if we're not getting positive feedback, then we need to move on. Sometimes that's if it's not the right environment for us. Anybody else?
I have uncertainty, and for my contribution, but for my uncertainty, I love to travel. I love to network because I never know, like Nick was saying, like I never know where my next deal is going to come from.
Right.
And sometimes it's something I did 4, 5, 6 months ago, then I'm getting called. So I love that. And then with the variety, I don't have pets and I don't have kids. And a lot of that is because I can get up and go at the drop of a hat. And so like people will ask me, hey Alex, you want to come to this event? And I'll be like, yeah, I want to go. But I don't have the responsibility of handling anything else. And the older I get, the more I love that. So I feel like that's, I don't know where that's going to take me in life, but it's interesting. So.
Well, if you continue down that road, it'll certainly keep a lot of money in your bank, that's for sure.
For me, it's just having a plan how to grow, whether it's something my boss or board gives me or something I set for myself. That's what helped for me, just to make sure I keep pace with myself. Knowing what I was 12 months ago or 6 months ago, what I know now, and how I know.
And is that on the growth?
Yeah, for me, that's one of my favorite ones, but contribution is making sure I make time for other people and I make sure I try to do it. Versus just trying to,
And so when you're trying to get to know them, what do you do to let them know that you want to engage with them and get to know them better?
I try to ask deeper questions, try not to just move on. If I say, hey, what's up? And then they ask that as they're walking past you.
Right.
And I said, well, that conversation I'm not going I try to make sure I stop with the guy and ask, like, they tell me something about their family or something that they like. Or I have a coworker that's trying to buy houses and they have the house I'm going. Try to make sure I pay attention to things that other people.
And you know, what he's talking about right now, a great technique for developing conversations with people, especially if you're somebody that you're not great at, a great conversationalist, is to use a technique with the acronym for the word FORM, F-O-R-M, and it's family, organization, recreation, and motivation. So during a conversation with somebody, if you hear that they mention any particular thing, see if you can, if it's anything around family, organization, recreation, or motivation, see how you can build on that. Okay, and what it does is it does a couple of things. Is it shows that person that you're listening to them, and it helps you to learn about that individual. If it's from a business perspective, there's nothing better than to know that we're being listened to. And then in our general lives, it's just a nice thing to do. Okay. Anybody else? I'd love to hear a couple more. Yeah, go ahead.
Since I already heard my uncertainty, I thought it was pretty cool to write this down and figure out my certainty, but it's true, like, I have to have like my monthly budget figured out, bank accounts optimized, house has to be like clean before I get like extracurriculars and stuff, and then like dogs have to be, like, I have to know the dogs are gonna be let out at the right time to take care of. Girlfriend can't be mad at me. Like, all that's the foundation to let the uncertainty be enjoyed.
Yeah, so most of those were positive. The girlfriend can't be mad at me. You know, sometimes you just have to let her be mad at you. And, you know, because we can't always make everybody happy. You know, and I can tell you that that was a big issue for me with my ex-wife, because I was always trying to make her happy. And when I didn't make her happy, it would make me mad, okay? Which kind of defeated the purpose. Okay, so my point is that and I'm not saying that it's not a good thing, because you want to have connection with her. And when our significant others are angry at us, we feel our need for connection is being broken. Okay, so that I do applaud you on that one, but because I identify. But at the same time, we also have to be careful of that. And sometimes they're just angry, and I'm not saying it's just as women, sometimes us dudes too, sometimes we're just angry because we don't know why we're angry. We're just angry, and you happen to be the person standing in front of me. Okay? But thanks. Anybody else? Let's go. Yeah, over there.
Okay, so for growth, receiving coaching, trying new things, therapy, education, physical therapy, exercise. And I didn't think many negatives for that, but for connection, spend time with family, networking events, I have friends who watch live music. Negative, social media. I don't really get the connection juice from that.
Oh my God, that is the worst place to get connection.
Yeah,
And I keep going there.
you keep going to look for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm conflicted by whether or not 3 and 6 or 5 and 6 we feel like it all works better. So what about the conflict? What's there?
When you say 3 and 6, so you're saying significance and contribution, and what was the other one?
Growth and conflict.
Growth and contribution. So, you know, sometimes it can just be where we're at in our lives at a specific time. Okay, so we can, like, I can send you the text, or we can do it over the phone together, because I like to do it fast so that it doesn't give somebody a chance to think about the answers, because it's yes, no, maybe answers. Sometimes when we're at different points in our lives, like when I was going through my divorce, my need for certainty was being destroyed. And so I had this real strong need for certainty in my life during that period of time. Okay, and uncertainty was going through the roof. So, you know, and I was losing my need for connection during that time. So there are different periods of our life where each of the needs we have will have 2 that are more dominant than the others. Okay, and it doesn't mean so in 6 months from now you may feel differently. Okay, and 6 months from now you may feel differently, and so I wouldn't feel too conflicted about that as much as just identifying that those are technically your 3 top needs. Okay, so and probably 2 of them will go, you know, move up and down. You'd probably find like a friend of ours, who I won't say his name, a friend of ours, his top 3 needs were connection, contribution, and growth. Now, connection and contribution were identical, the numbers. Okay, growth was right below that. So my guess is that he probably is always going back and forth between those 3. At certain times of his life, he probably feels more growth and connection at a time. At other times, he probably feels more growth and contribution. But then there are some people, like their numbers are just so drastically different. Like for me, my numbers for certainty is very low. Uncertainty is still pretty high. Okay, so I don't have a strong need for certainty on a regular basis. Okay, so I know we're getting to the 5 o'clock time, so what I want to do real quickly, if you guys don't mind, is just want to hand out a couple of things real quickly, if that's okay. Two things is, first is, I have the event that Alex was talking about is called the Total Business Breakthrough. It's a full day event. I know a lot of you, it's this Friday. So I know that that's not giving you much time. So it's the, but just, if you can just take a postcard and a business card, okay, and that's how my contact info. It's a full day event. It's at the Cascades over in Hendersonville. It's a lot of fun. This is the kind of stuff that you'll be doing all day from both the business and personal perspective. The reason why I mentioned business is because, like everything that we just did with these vehicles, it's so important that we identify those for how are they impacting us in our business lives. Okay, that's really super important that we identify that. And that's one of the things that we do throughout the Total Business Breakthrough. We work on your prospecting methods. We give you a whole slew of new prospecting methods that you may not be doing. We work on your networking. I have somebody who talks about business finances, okay? Because like I told you already, that is not a strength for me. So he talks about a small business or any business from cradle to grave, okay? We do a lot of talk on mindset work because that's really important for me is to help people with mindset. Because as I've learned, 80% of success is your mindset. And then the rest of it is just mechanics and what we're doing. Okay. Now, because I'm only giving you basically a day and a half to decide, not even, I'm going to offer you guys, and please leave this here, I'm offering all of you a 2-for-1 option. Okay, so I have an option on there where it's like a 2-person ticket, which is $157. But if anybody is interested tonight, let me know, and I'll do a 2-for-1. So if the two of you wanted to go together, it would only be $48.50 a piece together. The other thing is on my business card, you will notice also that there's my link to schedule if you want to do a complimentary strategy call with me. If there's anything that you're struggling with in your business, if you want to move ahead, if you're trying to figure out how to, move to that next level in your current position, or if you have areas in your life you want to work on, then let's schedule a strategy call. You can put it right in there, what it is that you want to work on. So this way I go into it, I already know what it is that you want to focus on, and I don't have to pull that out of you. Okay? Does anybody have any questions?
First off, I appreciate this. It's always cool to me to kind of this is all kind of happening behind the scenes, but it's so easy to write it down or just unlock, some of how I work.
Yeah.
Cool. You mentioned that test. Is that something you developed, or is that something we can find out?
It's something Tony Robbins developed, and you have to get it either through me or another coach that is a Robbins and Balance training coach.
That's not
Yeah.
But
And I can do that with the other phone.
well, maybe that might be a cool some point down the line, like follow-up media. So I know it's professional development, but you got to kind of off the first rule to figure out how we work.
Absolutely.
But I feel like that'd be a neat. So okay, cool. Thank you, Jim.
Brad?
Yeah. Just maybe a clarification. So certainly significance from my top two, but I'm not sure if I'm taking it right because for me significance isn't necessarily outward. But I think
Significance in regard to like having a need for importance, feeling needed, that whatever it is that you're doing really is making a difference.
yeah, and I guess maybe I am taking it right, but I do like positive feedback from others, like growing a business, creating things, but not necessarily for other people, but for myself. And I don't think the people that know me know actually what I'm involved in and do.
Right.
And they probably couldn't tell you.
So then it's not as significant, it's not so much significance in regard to how, that you want other people to admire you. You don't want other people to feel that you're important. So that, so I would say that if you do a little deeper dive for yourself in that, you probably find that that you're doing there is probably meeting a different need. It might be meeting the need for growth. Okay, it could be meeting the need for uncertainty. You said certainty and significance. So I would love to have a deeper dive with you. And how much time do we have? Okay. So the question that I would ask you is, when you're as far as having your businesses and developing these businesses, I'm guessing you're an entrepreneur, right? So you probably have a bigger, higher level of uncertainty than you're giving yourself credit for. Do you have a W-2 job?
No.
Okay, so right there, you have a higher level of uncertainty. Okay, you don't have, generally when we have a W-2 job, that means that we usually, there's certainty there. And if you have a government W-2 job, you even have a higher level of certainty, okay? But for you, that means you have a higher level of uncertainty. So then, what do you feel as far as when you're making these businesses, what do you feel that you're doing? Like, are you doing to help? So do other people get something out of your business?
That's not really a goal, but yes, like we're in real estate, and my wife and I built a portfolio, mainly low income. And
Okay.
I feel really good about it. But that's not
Contribution.
necessarily why we do it, we just like doing that better.
Right.
But it's building something, it's the significance of creating something, making it better, and doing something well. But not necessarily self-important.
But are you doing it so that it helps people?
No, that's not our main goal. The main goal is just to build a business.
Okay. So yeah, so then it sounds like if you're focused, then you are in there where you have certainty, and that's where you're meeting your certainty. I don't think it's significance though. Yeah, I'm not hearing significance, because if you're saying it's not important to you to feel important, then that's not significance. But I understand what you're saying. We would have to probably dig a little deeper into that. That's great. So why don't we do that, Paul, and I can go through the test with you real quick, and we can see where you fall on that, because that sounds like, I'm going to give that some thought. Any other questions? Well, anybody have any thoughts for what he was just saying?
I was thinking maybe it would be connection, because of what you said, the way you said you're doing it with your wife. So it might be more of a love and connection type thing.
Right.
Than what it actually is. Does that make sense?
On a good day, yeah.
On good days. I know that's.
Or like being connected to the community and have an impact, but not so much for the purpose that they like what you do, but maybe just like that you're providing connection and impacting people positively.
And also have to say you.
Oh, she definitely was.
Are you gonna be doing this anywhere closer?
Then Hendersonville?
Oh, it's Hendersonville?
Yeah, did I bring you the wrong one?
The one on the back, I Googled it and it said it was 3 hours away.
Oh, that's in, that one's in October. This one is this Friday. It's in Hendersonville at the Cascades. Do you know where that is? It's called the Cascades Mountain Resort. It's a nice venue. It's a hotel. Actually, I'm staying there tonight. But yeah, it's just a nice little place, and they have a nice banquet hall that I use, I think it's a banquet hall. It's nicer than this place we did it at last year. Yeah, much bigger room. Last year they overbooked, and they gave me a small room, and we had like 35 people crammed into this little room. And it's very engaging. It's a lot. There's high energy. So when you had 35 people in a high energy environment, it was tough. So listen, I enjoyed this so much, and please stay in touch with me. Feel free to give me your business cards. I'd love to keep in touch with all of you. And I have if you own a small business, or if you're somebody who's doing real estate or a sales professional of any sort, because if you're a sales professional that is only commission-based only, don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not a small business owner, because if you don't make money, if you're not earning, you're not eating. Okay, so don't ever let anybody tell you different on that. But that being said, I have a Facebook group called Grow Your Network, Grow Your Business. You're welcome to all become members. Would love that. And but thank you so much for this opportunity.
That is phenomenal. You know what I want to say? YPA is with an organization that meets all your needs. Hey, somebody give me a brand. And also, give a round of applause to Erica and Sean for having us. If you don't know them, they own Hatchworks, so definitely talk to them, and they'll tell you about the amazing benefits of this co-working space and what you can do here. I tend to work out of here sometimes. I'm also A Million Cups is hosted here every Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Great organization if you are an entrepreneur to meet great business owners, number one, and also like hear what it takes to run a business. Like if you have not came to A Million Cups at all, definitely put it on your schedule. It's going to be every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and that's here with Sean. Tell me, you want to highlight anything else about Hatchworks?
We're doing a lot of things just at the Hatch building in particular. We're going to have an innovation center, a tech innovation center. You may have read about some of the stuff we're doing in ABL today on Monday. It's in there. We're actually doubling our co-working space. So we have 5,000 square feet now. We're doubling into another 5,000 square feet. And then we're having, EcoBots moving in our building. We've got a lot of exciting fun, like Fiscal Fund. We got a lot of exciting people moving into the building. So we're going to be a resource center. And we hope to be a center of gravity for startups and tech companies. So, yeah.
So, yeah.
At the end of this year. Yeah.
So be a part of it. Definitely check that out and come check out some of the things that they're doing. Obviously, YPA, if this is your first YPA event, if you're not a member, become a member. I believe it's only $40 or $50 to join now. And we do 3 different types of events every month. We do a social event. That's why we're meeting your needs, right? Social event. We do a professional development event. And then we also do a volunteer event. So we do those 3 events every month. And tomorrow, if you don't have it on your calendar already, it's going to be our annual party. It's going to be a masquerade party at the at Pax Tavern. So make sure you have that on your schedule. If you're a member, obviously that's included in your membership. It's going to be a good time, great way to network and meet some people. Aside from that, folks, please take some of that home because I don't need uncertainty in my diet. For variety, because I need to get back on schedule. So please take some of that home. Feel free to network, make some great connections. My name is Alex Cardona. I'm the co-chair of professional development. It's been a pleasure having y'all here, and we'll see y'all next time, okay? All right, 2-1.